Welcome, everyone. It is Recurve Sunday coming at you from Korea. Well, I'm not in Korea, but this is the World Cup Watchalong. I'm your host, Greg White, with obviously a lot of signing stuff going on. And we're going to be talking Recurve Archery. We're going to be talking all kinds of great stuff. As you watch along with us, we're going to have the feed coming up on our screen a little bit later on, as we are about, 15 minutes or so away from the opening individual matches. We've already had team matches for Recurve. Compound Saturday was amazing. We had all kinds of shoot-offs, and if you didn't get a chance to check out our watch-along, we had a couple great archers join us, and Steve Anderson and Christopher Perkins. But let's welcome in the panel that we have today. And back in action is going to be Vanessa Lee in the upper left-hand corner of your TV screen, and Bernardo Oliveira. Did I say that properly? So they're going to be joining us. So tell you what, welcome to the show. Welcome to the watch along. Vanessa, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and why you're hanging out with us.
I am so happy to be here, especially with my friend Bernardo and you, Greg. I used to compete on the Canadian archery team years ago, from about 2009 to 2016-ish. I've been an archery fan, nerd, whatever, since I first laid eyes on it in 2004. I naturally transitioned to more of a media role with World Archery, and I just love talking archery. So let's get it on.
Oh, yeah. And Bernardo, what about you?
Yeah, so I've been shooting archery 19 years now. Been on the Brazilian national team since 2010. Shot the Olympics in Rio 2016, and trying to make it to Paris. It's still got a little chance, even though it's not that big. But yeah, it can technically can still qualify for Paris, and let's see. But just super excited to be here joining Vanessa, whom I know for such a really long time, and you, Greg, and everyone tuning here with us today.
Why Recurve, you two? It's so hard. I mean, like, you have to practice like every day. You got to keep the muscles. Yeah. I mean, I got the compounds behind me. I could take 2-3 days off. No big whoop. Why Recurve? Vanessa?
Well, yeah, I can go first. So
because she's Korean descendant, that's why.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a little bit of an influence there. I'll give you that one, but
when I first saw, and I started archery when I saw the Olympics, and so that was my goal. I wanted to go to the Olympics. I wanted to be like Park Seung-hyun because I thought she was amazing. And compound always, I know there was a extra attitude that I felt like I didn't have. Compounders were kind of cool, and recurves were a little bit nerdy and dorky. So I never thought I could have that cool edge, but now that I've stopped recurve, I've switched to the dark side, and it's a lot of fun being on compound. Yeah. How about you, Bernardo?
I've never seen any videos of you shooting compound. I think when I see a video or a photo of you holding a compound, my mind will go just like blank.
It's because I'm really bad at it.
There's a few on this device right here of her shooting a compound bow. Trust me.
Please share them with me.
All right, I'll have to send you some.
But well, that's a funny question. Just I don't know. In my club, most people shot recurve, and I just went with the flow. The rare times when I shot a compound, like the draw length wasn't suited to me, and everything just felt super awkward. And yeah, I never really enjoyed shooting compound. But I really like, especially as I get older. I mean, I don't mean anything bad about this. Really, just came out, but I really feel like shooting compound more. Just get a bow, have it properly set up for me, and yeah.
All right, let's talk a little bit about this tournament that we have coming up here from Korea, because Bernardo, like, what do you look at in terms of the field, the talented field that's competing? I mean, we're only going to see a select few number of people. Obviously, we're only going to see like 8 athletes today competing, but are these the same people that we're going to see in the Olympics coming up here in a couple months or a month and a half?
Very likely. Very, very likely. Yeah. We have like one of the big standouts to me is Deepika Kumari from India, especially in the women's that we're going to see in just a bit. Like, because she wasn't in the circuit last year right after giving birth. And now she's back with like everything. She won like a silver in Shanghai, right? And now she's in the top 4 again in the final 4. But she was so much quality all throughout the field, and still she is in the top 4. So I think that that's amazing. That's definitely one of the names to follow.
Vanessa, can you speak to the kind of the Korean process of like selecting their athletes? So we know that in archery, there's kind of a variety of selections, all the way from, some countries will be like, well, this person, was in the Olympics a couple of years ago, and so we're going to send them back, and it's more personal than it is based on, say, just raw numbers. But in Korea, they don't care, do they? I mean, it is just
Yeah.
like whoever's performing at the moment gets to go.
I like that about the Korean archery system. It's really objective. There's 5 stages every year. It doesn't even have to be an Olympic year, and you have to accumulate points to get on the national team. And so this year is a really interesting one because we have 3 women on the national team who are going to the Olympics, and 2 of them had, prior to Shanghai, had never really competed at this level on an international senior competition. And I mean, like earlier today, they lost to China in a consecutive, World Cup. So their cracks are showing, their inexperience is showing, and there's so much at stake. Yet this is the team that they've selected, and they can't go back.
Yeah, and we're looking at highlights there. I think it was at
Yeah.
the women's team match where People's Republic of China beat Korea. They finished second. Germany, of course, who is on the women's side on recurve, a standout team. They were bronze, with Indonesia in fourth place and Vietnam in fifth. And that's going to be important as we move along in these individual matches. In the in the recurve men's team, it was business as usual, kind of a little bit, right? I suppose Korea ends up beating Germany, and then Canada ends up third. Congratulations there, Vanessa. And then Italy ends up fourth, with People Republic of China in fifth place. And then on the mixed team side of things, it was Mexico over Japan, and then Spain ends up getting the bronze over France, and Korea fifth place. So would you say kind of the same thing? I mean, Kim Woo Jin was the male part of the recurve mixed team, but then you have Lim. How do you pronounce her name? Seyon.
Shihyun. Yeah,
Yeah.
Shihyun. It's spelled without a H, but I mean, you pronounce it like Shihyun. I don't know why it's like that.
Oh yeah. The way they spell it is SIH, but you're saying the H should be before the I, basically, in the pronunciation.
It should be
Shiyon.
like 2 H's. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So, but a younger archer, correct?
Yeah.
So you think that that's part of the inexperience just shown on the world stage? What's interesting about Korea, I think, with recurve, is how strong Korea is as a nation, and how we don't see them go to all the World Cup, or they send different levels of people to different World Archery World Cup events. Talk a little bit about
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with training and peaking at the right time. Because when you go to competition, it's so mentally and physically taxing. You spend so much emotional energy so that you can shoot every shot at the best of your ability. But if you're going to every single competition, you're not going to peak at the right time. You might as well just deplete yourself until you reach the Olympics. But the Korean system, they base everything on a lot of research, and so they make sure that they're picking and choosing the right competitions. So there's a Asia Cup coming up in Suwon in Korea, and this national team is not going to be there. They're going to be sending a different level of archers there. And you know what? Like, I do know about Korean archery, but Bernardo is probably also equally as knowledgeable about Korean archery too. Maybe a slightly different perspective. Yeah, he trained in Korea as well, but we can get into that a bit later.
Well, I mean, you
Oh,
can
but
start talking about it now.
Yeah,
How's
we
that?
could do that. Yeah.
You flatter me, Vanessa, but I don't speak Korean. Not half of the Korean you do speak, so my insight into it is much more limited. But yeah, I did train there in for half a year in Daejeon. It's a fifth largest city in Korea. I trained with a university team that at the time they were the top university team in Korea. And before I went there, I even talked to Vanessa about it. And even though she didn't know a lot about them, she was like, "Wow, just heard that they're nice and welcoming to international archers and everything." But what really caught my attention when I was there training is that and why I wanted to train with a Korean team was just to see what their everyday life was like and their everyday training, and everything was much simpler than what I anticipated. Like it's just basically very serious, very straight to the point. Just get your head down, work. So it's there is no secret, there is no mysterious esoteric thing that they do. It's just pure hard work, all day long, ruthlessly, all year long. So that was my experience, and even though this sounds simple, when you see it with your own eyes, when you're there, kind of trying to follow along with them, it's pretty, pretty crazy.
Hmm. And hey, if you're joining us on YouTube, we're going to be on for another probably 15 minutes or so. And then we're going to be transitioning over to Archery Plus, archery.tv. And you'll see the QR code that'll come up from time to time in the lower right hand part of your screen. Scan that QR code, get signed up, and then we'll continue our coverage once we get off of YouTube. And that's where we're going to be as we watch these first matches coming up, as we have the Recurve women's and Recurve men's coming up, individual matches. And what we're going to do is basically we're down to the final four. We're going to have two matches each that are going to decide the winner of each one of those matches goes to the gold, and the loser goes to the bronze for both the women and the men. And the pictures you're looking at here are kind of more behind the scenes stuff that maybe I don't even think the international feed has started, so you're getting a little inside picture. So, like, what's going through your mind? What's going through the athlete's mind, Bernardo, at this point? In terms of they're getting ready, the stage is just a few minutes away. What do you think they're thinking about? What would you be thinking about?
Well, I would be just trying to relax if that's possible. Just I guess go through the key points in your shot. Just try to remember the good feelings you had just a couple of minutes before in the practice field. And this is like an interesting thing. I guess people who are watching, they don't really get this. It's like you're at the practice field, but then you're called to be ready for the match like 10 minutes before. So this is 10 minutes that you're actually cooling down, and the 10 minutes where your mind can just race into whatever is not really helpful for the upcoming shoot. So it can be a bit tricky, but the experience just really helps you deal with it. But yeah, it's important to bear in mind that like your body is cooling down, but your mind can be racing. So I guess just focus on good stuff. Try not to overthink it, because it can easily happen in archery, and it doesn't help.
Comment from one of our viewers: it's sad compound archery isn't in the Olympics, not even LA 2028. And I thought it would happen. I think a lot of us thought it would happen on the compound side of things. Like, to Korea's, just talking about Korea and their kind of long-term vision. They hired Rio Wild from the United States as a coach last season, looking ahead, thinking that compound might get into the Olympics, and kind of setting that up in terms of their compound program. But look, things happen. We don't really know why it's not in there, but there's a lot of things that point to how it was going to work. I mean, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's 64 athletes that compete in recurve for the Olympics. And so what they're going to do is they were going to siphon off 16 athletes to compete in compound. That means there'd be 16 less in recurve. And they were going to take them indoors and try to shoot them at 20 yards or 20 meters or 18 meters or 25 meters. It was like we didn't really know the details of it. And at the end of the day, it just didn't make sense to try to find a venue for them and do something completely different. So that is what it is. And then the one after LA, I believe, is in Australia. And people aren't really saying that Australia is going to want compound in the Olympics either. So compound is kind of in a very weird spot right now in terms of Olympic stuff, because look, the bottom line is, folks, with the Olympics, there are only so many athletes, period, across all sports. And so there is no more spots. So in order normally for a new sport to get in, that means that another sport has to go bye-bye. And that's why you see sports kind of switch around. So, the case has to be made that compound's vastly different from recurve enough to make a difference. So unless you put hockey skates on them and compete compound in the Winter Olympics on the ice, or maybe put snowshoes on them, it's going to be hard, But
It's too
thanks for
bad.
I mean, it's too bad for, it's especially for obviously the bow companies. There's quite a few obviously compound bow companies in the States, and so I think that was kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
A lot of athletes that you guys I'm sure have seen and at the world stage, that we're looking forward to it. That
Yeah.
if you think about, well, maybe it gets in 8 years, maybe it gets in 12 years. A lot of the athletes we see now are going to age out.
Exactly.
In compound yesterday,
Yeah.
you had Sawyer Sullivan, who's 20 years old, 3 gold medals yesterday, right? What a debut for his first gold medal, follows it up with 2 more. The possibility of compound getting to the Olympics means that he's probably going to be 32 years old by the time that happens.
Jeez.
So, that's kind of a thing. What a facility we have here, huh?
Yeah,
This
I
place is
love this view. Bernardo, have you been here
Yeah.
in Yecheon before?
I went there once. I was about to ask you the same. Have you been? Have you been in Yecheon?
Yeah, I've been there a couple times, and so it's awesome that Yecheon is one of the few cities, actually several cities, where there's a permanent archery range, and that's Kim Jin-ho, Kim Young-tak. That's archery legends.
So
Do we realize?
that's Kim Jin-ho, who like the facility is named after her.
Yeah,
That's her. Yeah.
it's Kim Jin-ho or Jin-ho International Archery Field. Like she's individual and team gold in both 79 and 83 world championships, and she was often credited for being like a kickstart to this like Korean archery domination. But I have a personal connection to her. When I was first starting in archery as this just like really excited young archer, I got in touch with her somehow. Like I had a family friend who knew her, and so I sent her video clips of me shooting. And
Cool.
she responded, and she would go back and forth with giving me some tips. And yeah, she was wonderful, but I had a lot of work to do.
I bet. But your entire archery journey is amazing. Like the fact that you watched Park Sung-hyun on TV at the Olympics, and then you became a friend of hers, and now this thing with Kim Jin-ho, like it's really amazing.
Thanks, man. I feel really lucky to have met like certain people along my way, and every single person has just been so generous. And yeah, I'm really lucky. Here we go.
Oh, they weren't generous just out of the blue. That's because you're an amazing person as well. So
Oh, stop. Tell me more.
All right, we're getting ready for our first match of the day. What we saw yesterday, Vanessa, because you watched. I don't know, Bernardo, if you got to watch any of the compound, but was interesting from the practice field they had set up to this field. Most people started off low, like either it was bottom of the 10 ring at 50 meters on an 80 centimeter target face. This is 70 meters at 122 centimeter target face, or they started kind of like just below the 10 ring in the 9. So I'm super interested to see what happens here.
Oh yeah, definitely. I want to see whether this trend will continue. About to get started here.
There's no doubt that Kumari is the greatest Indian recurve archer ever. There you go.
Yeah.
We said it. Thanks for the comment. Appreciate it. First arrow of the day.
Low. Called it. Low.
A little low. The one thing I find so interesting about recurve, though, is like there's so many more variables in terms of like it's astonishing how many points of data your body has to check in order to shoot a 10 in recurve versus compound, because you have so many things that you can do, mechanically to get it to go in there, that what you don't see these first couple arrows in general is people grabbing their sight and start making big adjustments like straight away. Why?
You can
I guess
that,
what you said, yeah. So many things, like, and especially for me, the first few arrows in the arena, they feel wildly different to the average shot. So I guess it just takes a little bit more time for settling in. But yeah, when you're comparing to compound, like the fact that you have 3 fingers on the string, directly on the string, that makes for a world of difference, world of possibilities and variation. So, but there's the sight adjustment you wanted there, Greg, by Deepika Kumari.
Yeah, right. After 3 arrows, though, with compound, you see it's like 1 arrow, and they're like, "Oh, that broke right in the middle. Just go click, 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 click." Kind of a thing. But I mean, I do sit there in amazement and watch people shoot. And on the U.S. side, I am fortunate enough to have been commentating for a while and friends with some of the recurve archers that are on the USA team, and get to watch them shoot when I'm not shooting. And I just look at the variations. I mean, if you think about all the things you have to do, I mean, the only thing you guys really have going for you is like a clicker. We have a peep sight, and you can put like a kisser button on or a nose button on, and you have a release aid, and you have all these different things. We have lenses, with magnification that you don't have. So to me, it's just incredible, especially at 70 meters. I don't care if the target was 200 centimeter 10. 10 ring was 20 centimeters. It's every time they hit a 10, it's pretty special.
Yeah, we're amazing.
Yeah.
I agree with Vanessa.
Well, you're currently amazing. She's retired amazing. Let's just
Yeah, but I just to on that, like, I think compound is like the ultimate game of precision. It's just like if you don't hit the 10, that's not good enough, period. And it's about not really who gets it right most times, it's about who gets it wrong less. But yeah, like in recurve, just the same. Like the level of precision we see from all of these top archers in the final four. I guess it really compares. The competition is just as tough in recurve and compound, but just in slightly different ways.
I think that for me, I kind of look at it in a way where in recurve you earn 10 points if you shoot 10, and in compound, it's like especially at this level, right? When you're getting into a gold medal match, it's like it's a game of, like you're saying, not missing. So like if you shoot a 9, it's not like you earned a 9, it's like you drop a point. And if you listen to the way pro shooters talk, that's the way they talk. It's like if you go to Vegas and a 900 makes the shoot off, and you're talking to a top shooter like a Chris Schaff who's won it, or a Mike Schlusser, or a Christopher Perkins, and you ask them how they shoot, they're just going to give you their X count because it's an assumption they shot a 300, right? So it's like, what'd you shoot today? And they're like 27. And I'm ashamed of that. I didn't shoot 30 X's today. Where like barebow, especially when you get to barebow, that's a whole nother topic of earning points, and that's a spectacular one. But I still think recurve is at the level of, it's so high, at this level, but I still think you earn a 10 with a recurve, as opposed to it's every time an athlete steps up to shoot an arrow, it's not a given, it's a 10.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. They split the last set.
Yeah, Deepika Kumari, I think it was her first arrow. It clipped to the line, but it's funny, in the scoreboard it was 9, not even with a star. But yeah, when I saw that, I was like, man, that really looks like a 10, and yeah, it was.
Well, that'll do it for us on YouTube. If you want to continue watching us chit chat about archery, there's the QR code. Get on Archery Plus. And Vanessa, Bernardo, and I, we're going to continue on to this coverage until we're done here in a couple of hours. We got some great matches ahead of us. And you want to get some more insight into archery? Hang out with us on this World Cup watch along party. Archery Plus. There's the QR code. We'll see you over there.